Hello. In this class, we are going to be discussing the significance of the title Skin. First, let us watch a video of an interview by Margaret Mascarenhas.
Well, yeah, the title is multi-layered in its significance because in the book, of course, I'm addressing skin color on one level because the protagonist of the story is very light-skinned, and the Indian grandmother of the protagonist is also quite light-skinned, and she, according to her, is a descendant of Saraswat Brahmins. There's an interesting dynamic in Goa that has occurred over the centuries, which is that in terms of caste, that the Brahmins, the Hindu Brahmins who converted to Catholicism, did so with the intention of, or with the idea that the Portuguese would not remain long in India, and they would go ahead with this conversion temporarily for the time being, and when the Portuguese left, then they would go back to their Hindu roots. And the idea was to protect their property, because the Portuguese were offering them the advantage of retaining their lands and assets provided they converted. So often among the Hindu the Saraswat Brahmins of Goa, part of the family would convert, and the rest of the family would retain the Hindu deity and the name, and maybe cross the border or remain in Goa, but the Catholic convert would retain the properties. And so hence we have a term in Goa known as Catholic Brahmin. Now, I've made a bit of fun of that, and the Saraswat Brahmins tend to have light colored eyes and light skin, much like the protagonist of Skin, who cannot really identify where her green eyes come from, whether it's from her American side or whether it's from her Indian side, nor her light skin. And her grandmother is constantly telling her, don't go into the sun, you will become dark. And the irony of it is that it turns out that in the gene pool of this family, there's been quite a lot of mixing up of genes. So nobody is of any pure race or caste in the family anymore.
So we have significance of the title Skin. Skin, the novel, shows the journey of pagan who connects with her ancestors and tries to understand her roots. The color of the skin is definitely an issue that's brought up by the author. We have Gina, who just refuses to recognize her granddaughter Pagan when she realizes that Pagan has tanned a lot, and she asks her, "Who are you?" And then again, when she's going to boarding school, one of the things that Gina tells her is that apart from your family name, your skin color is the thing that gives you certain kind of privilege, that gives you power. And we see how that plays out when she actually goes to school, and all the girls are, trying to please her, trying to do things for her. They will try to suck up to her. She was quite praised and put on a pedestal just because she's fair skinned. Then you also have Gorgor, who has a kind of attraction towards Consular, and ends up saying that usually I prefer my brides to be, quite fair, but then in case, at night, like I can't see her skin, so it's just about satisfying, his lust. We also see how the Saraswat Brahmins, because of their fair skin and, light colored eyes, it helps them assimilate into the Portuguese colonial structure. It gives them this kind of privilege. Then we have race and inheritance. Again, we see how sometimes racism is very covert. Uh, and Pagan ends up realizing that when she realizes that even though Yvonne's parents are professors, her parents, as in Pagan's parents, don't make any efforts to go and meet their child's best friend's parents. Then again, even in school, even though she comes from a really good family, Yvonne is still made a target of racial prejudice. And we see how the girls have this little thing where they pass the stones that will, keep them away from Yvonne. In conclusion, our skin, that is our genetic heritage, is a part of life whether we know it or not. And we see this through Pagan's life. She has a Spanish ancestry, she has African ancestry, she of course has, Indian Saraswat Brahmin ancestry. She has this very mixed kind of like a complete genetic cocktail. And even though she doesn't know it herself, it ends up playing in her character. It ends up affecting her psyche, and the way that she lives life, her color of the skin, like it's not something she chose, but it's given to her, and because of that, she ends up having certain privileges. Uh, because of where she comes from and because of her genetic heritage, that is again what family she comes from is again a part of her genetic heritage, and we see how that plays a role in her life. And again, appreciation post. And the first one is, our mothers live under our skin. This is a really beautiful quote that Esperanza tells Sadat. Her mother very says that, I'm there wherever you go because, mothers live under our skin. And then how much later Sadat changes the line and says that, even daughters live under our skin when she's talking about Pagan. Then the next is, after Yvonne leaves school, and she's like, alone, and then she kind of starts, distancing herself from rest of her classmates. And this is like a very beautiful line. She says she turns into a pre-adolescent onion, developing layer upon layer of defensive skins until she no longer knew herself what lay at the center. I think this is really brilliant way to put her character across, and how Pagan becomes who she is and why she is the way she is, and she just puts it into like one line. It's really beautiful. And next we have Pagan says this about her cousins, who were both in their teens and pretty in a way that reminded Pagan of sanitary napkin commercials. So yes, these are the three quotes for this class, I think, and that's it. These are the references. And that is it. I will be attaching a Google survey as assessment. Please do answer it. I hope you enjoyed the class. Goodbye for now.